This TEDx talk is presented by Thomas Boltz, owner of the Landscape Architects. This company rebuilds the ecological infrastructures and compromised places with inactive farmlands. This company started to experiment in land that someone led them in order to determine how agriculture affects our ecosystem. This experiment lasted around 18 years. They did a lot of experiment that they couldn't do in another place. They also adapted the place in order to get the best results possible. One of the experiments that is really remarking in the video is when they burn groundland in order to determine if burning invasive plants reseed the groundland. Then people from close places started giving land so they could experiment also in their lands. Then the people from another places started to come to experiment. We had conservation biologists and scientists that started to experiment in the same land that also help a lot in the research. In order to determine every piece of land that compromises environment. While their project kept flowing, then another person came and gave 3,000 acres sheep, cattle, citrus, and crop farm that, as normal, in New Zealand had been highly compromised. New Zealand is one of the most exposed places for borderline disasters. The purpose of this project is trying to restore ecosystem in order to reduce natural disasters. Another great experiment made by Nelson Bright Wood's landscape architects was reforestating the entire coastal edge of New Zealand, where the experiments are taking place. This really helped people that gave land to experiments. They made roads, trails, everything for these tribes, since that was the kind of persons they were dealing with. This experiment created a perfect model for future generations, so they could understand what things they have to do in order to maintain a better ecosystem and recover the Tautara, and try to recover dinosaur families. One of the experiments is the hands of Steve Sawyers, a conservation biologist in New Zealand. In conclusion, this was a very interesting project since it is the only way to have a greater ecology.